Welcome. Welcome to my Lunch and Learn, where each and every week I explore topics to help you elevate your mindset, be at your best, and radically expand your life and business. And today we're talking about mentorship and how you can find the right mentor for you. Now, I have personally invested more than $300,000 into my personal growth and development, and much more. I just haven't taken the time to verify the number beyond that. And I've worked with all kinds of mentors from all over the world for a variety of things, from business to health to movement to spirituality to life satisfaction and beyond. And I have learned a few things along the way. I hope I've learned a few things along the way. So I was just recently speaking with a friend, and she said that it was so cool that I'd had the opportunities to work with such incredible and truly profound people, and really take these learnings to heart. And I think that's something that's really important. And she asked how she could choose mentors in her line of work and in her world so that she could really start to learn how to accelerate herself and learn to do that too. So that's what today's all about. And if you're a professional woman who is tired of stress and overwhelm being your norm, maybe you're at the top of your peer group and feel a bit isolated and you're looking for someone or something to lift you up or to help you uncover that sparkle that you have inside, but you may not have been really letting it shine this past little while. I want you to listen up, turn your listening ears on, because the right mentorship opportunity can absolutely do just that. Now, some of you know me, some of you don't. I'm Larisa McCooch, author, speaker, master results coach, and CEO of Abundance Academy, where we help professional women whose external results tell the world they're successful, but on the inside, they know they're destined for more. I help them stop holding themselves back and go after their dreams so they can radically expand their income and love themselves, love their business, and create absolute magic in their lives. And so I would love to know where you're tuning in from. If you're tuning in by replay, type in replay in the chat. And if it's your very first time with us, type in first time in the chat. So I really do thank you for being here. And I truly, truly appreciate your presence. Now, back in the day, probably about 6 years ago now, I was actually 6 years ago, I was about 6 months pregnant, and I was in a seminar here in Toronto. And I remember the presenter, he was saying brilliant things that I had never heard before. And by that time, I had gone to so many different seminars, and I was taking notes like crazy. And I was um, so grateful that he was saying these brilliant things, yet also really, really frustrated because he treated his staff and conducted his business in a way that really didn't sit well with me. And so it was so frustrating because part of it was so good, part of it was not, right? And I didn't know which way to turn. However, at the end of that first day, he asked for feedback, and I'm like, okay, everyone deserves a second chance. So I gave it. And the next day, he actually implemented it. He started complimenting his staff. He started treating them with so much more kindness and respect. Don't know if he did it beyond that seminar. However, I decided to stay. Okay. I didn't love him necessarily as a person. I didn't love all the things about him. However, I did acknowledge his efforts, and I knew that he had something special to teach me. Even though it was frustrating sitting through it, I was very frustrated. And I knew I was free to leave. Like, there were no handcuffs on me. He was like, you don't want to stay? Go. Like, nobody needs to stay. However, I chose to stay, and I chose to enroll in a couple more of his programs and opportunities, and even brought someone else to them in the future, because I chose to set that frustration aside and I saw something bigger that really, truly deep down, I knew I needed. Now, I love attending seminars. That's one of my things. I love learning. I love personal growth. It is just something I love to do. And I'm more of a dinner party kind of gal than a club. I'm not a nightclub kind of gal. I'm not into huge, huge crowds. I can attend seminars with thousands of people, but I would rather have a really intimate experience with maybe 20, 30, 50, or 100 people at most. So I like the intimacy thing. However, my husband wanted to go to a local event, another local event, ironically in Toronto. We haven't done most of our events in Toronto, but this one was in Toronto again. And Tony Robbins was coming into town. And my husband and I, we had done all the Anthony Robbins programs and we'd done them out of town. And so I didn't feel compelled to go hear Tony Robbins speak again. I'm like, I've heard it. It's awesome. I love it. Not really feeling it's necessary for me right now. But I did want to support my husband. And so I went. And I'm glad I did because there was one speaker. This is the kind of event where they had many, many, many speakers going on throughout the day. And so there's one speaker somewhere in the middle of the event when your brain is a little tired. Um, she spoke, and I was just so curious right from the very beginning because she came onto stage and she looked different. She looked really elegant, so much different than the regular speakers, their suits and ties. And some of the other women, they had a certain look, and she was different. So she really captivated my attention, and I got very curious. When she started to speak, she talked about coming back to work after being off for several years raising her kids, and she had some really fascinating stories to share. She's just spoke for a very short time. However, the more she spoke, the more curious I got. And after she got off stage, I went and talked to her at the side of the stage. And a few weeks later, I actually ran into her at another event where she was also a speaker. And I had more deep conversations with her. And I ended up after, it was really quite funny. I looked her up all over social media. I looked up all her social accounts and I started following her and really keeping in touch with her. And through social media and other means, I have kept in touch with her and still do to this day. And you really never know where those opportunities arise, right? There was this one time my mentor, Bob Proctor, he said, and this is something he said often, that a mentor is someone who sees something inside of you that's always been there, yet you may not see it inside yourself. And I've learned so much from Bob. And I'm really happy and grateful and so excited that I was able to really study with him before he passed away. Things really came full circle when I found myself having coffee with one of his former business partners and one of his masterful students. And he started sharing some stories about their work together and Bob's energy in the early days. And that got me really excited to hear about these things because in that moment, I it was something that was so natural and so organic. And I got to learn from those experiences too. They were just simple things in terms of how they behaved, how they executed certain parts of their business, how they treated one another and other people. And it was not all the big flashy stuff. These were stories that I'd never heard before. And it was really cool because this mentor, he wanted to learn about me. And when he found out about me, he was like, "Cool. Okay, you've got some really great things going for you." And even though my goals on the surface level, they had really big numbers and exciting things attached to them, he called me out on something. And he's like, "Larisa, you're playing too small." Because I had like surface level dreams that were really big, but the plans were too small. And there was something about our energy when we were playing and the dynamics of our conversation that gave me just this feeling that I knew he was right. And I had this deep trust in him. And he told me how much potential I had. Yet he also told me a few things that I needed to do that I knew I needed to do that I had pretended I didn't want to or I wasn't ready for. And he said, "That's a lie." And so he actually offered to mentor me, right? He was looking for a way to give back to his world and to the community. He had retired from a major part of his business. And it was really beautiful because it got me even more excited and really encouraged me to stretch myself and take on these challenges he had for me. The meticulous feedback he gave me as we started working together that excited me more and more and more. And at that point, I didn't care if I liked it because I knew whether he said something I appreciated or not, he was right, first and foremost. And he did it out of love and compassion, and because he truly does know my potential and what's required. Now, why am I sharing all this with you? Mentorship is essential to your growth and your success in all aspects of life. You can't create in a vacuum. And when you open yourself up to a world of possibilities, magic can happen. So just ask yourself, do you want to have a cheerleader in your corner that really helps to lift you up when you get down and pushes you to be the best you can actually be? Do you want to have someone that calls you out on your BS and tells you, like, stop? So you can actually pay attention to what's going on and what's most important to you in your life. Would you love to know that someone sees something in your future that you may not even know is possible yet and sees your potential to actually fulfill it? Because that's really what today is all about. It's about mentorship and how to find the right mentor for you and what to do with them when you do. Okay. So, just a couple of definitions. I want to really look at this idea of what a mentor actually is. A mentor is an experienced or trusted advisor. And it's this concept of professional training, right? Some kind of professional or of a pupil by a more experienced mentor or peer. And while I'm using the word professional training, yeah, it could be in the area of your career, or it could be in any other area of your life. Mentoring really became commonplace in the Middle Ages, in the times of guilds and apprenticeships, when young people would go to their mentors to acquire technical skills from professionals. In the 1970s, this term really became commonplace in the business world. Okay. Now, there's also a term called coach. And if you go online, there's all these things like, what's a coach versus a mentor? And historically, a coach was an athletic instructor or trainer, someone who teaches or trains athletes or performers in some aspect. And Tony Robbins really popularized this term in the field of life coaching. And so he's like, I am the kind of coach that can get you and your life to where you want to be. And yes, there are certain ways that people differentiate between coaches and mentors. For the purposes of today, I want you to not get hung up on definitions. I'm actually going to, I want you to look at the bigger picture. And I'm going to use the term mentor. And some of my mentors called themselves coaches. Um, some of them didn't. Some of them didn't call themselves anything. However, essentially, the biggest thing you're looking for is you're looking for something or someone to lift you up and see things in you that you don't see in yourself. Now, this isn't about putting someone up on a pedestal where you're like, oh my God, my mentor, they're so amazing. Like, they might be amazing people, but you're amazing. You're an amazing person too. However, this mentor simply has a different perspective and other experiences and skill sets than you. You have different perspectives and other skill sets and experiences than them, and then other people in your world. So it's really about looking at who's right for you, mentor people that know more about something that you don't, how to find them and what to do with them when you do. So, why is mentorship so important? Well, as humans, we're creatures of growth. When you're green, you're growing. When you're ripe, you're rotten. This is something I talked about in one of my workshops a couple weeks ago. And people were just like, that day, I've said it before, but that day it really hit home to so many of our attendees. And they really started to understand the need for growth. Just think of a tomato, right? You want to be a green tomato because it's got somewhere to go and somewhere to grow. Do you really want to be that rotten tomato that's just going to fall into the ground? No, because you want to be that green tomato full of life. And that's how we are. It's a fundamental human need for us to grow. And whether it's in the area of career and contribution, or in the area of health or wealth or relationships or some kind of hobbies or passions that you've got, you can continue growing. And your brain actually has the capacity to keep learning well into your 80s at the same rate it does as you're a teenager. However, most people don't realize it's possible. They don't even know it's possible because they've just stopped learning. They've gotten off the bicycle, and it's not that they can't get back on, it just may take them a little longer. So, what if it takes you a few months to get back on the wagon? It's possible to retrain yourself to begin to grow. So if you've been gone, do not let that stop you. It is a fundamental human need at any age. Now, why else is mentorship so important? Mentors have access to ideas and networks that you might not otherwise have access to. They have had experiences, they've met people, um, they've studied different things than you have, and they've succeeded. More importantly, they've had a lot of failures and they've taken the time to learn from them. And so when you work with a mentor, you're not just working with that person's potential in you, that you get access to all of their experiences. And they might share a lot of them at once. They might drip them bit by bit. However, these are experiences that come to you that you otherwise wouldn't have come across. And they're so incredibly powerful. Some of them might be really obvious, some of them might be in the subtleties. I love learning about the subtleties because that really is the inspiration that helps me shape who I am and how I choose to show up every day. It's not just the big picture. Yes, big picture is important, but how are you showing up every day? Okay. Mentors, they also have experience and can share insights. They can help you be more effective and shorten your path because of the learnings and the growth they've had. And they can help you minimize the challenges that come your way. So, one of the things I like to think about or look at is if you're working with someone, they're going to look at a situation from a very different perspective. And very often when you work with a mentor, they tend to look at things from a higher level and outside perspective. You look at your life in your own way through your own eyes. You look at it through a bug's eye view. Okay. So imagine you're a little bug in the grass and you're looking, whoa, look at this grass. It's really cool. And your whole world is this little tiny, maybe square foot of grass, maybe a little beyond that, and you keep looking at things from the same angle, maybe you change your view and go up one of the grass blades just a little bit to change your view and look out on the grass from the top of the grass blade, but you're still down there in the grass. Mentors zoom out and they can look at things from the God's eye view. And where you can get emotional because they can see things from this God's eye view, so high up in the sky, they can see everything around that little section of grass. And they can see the potential you have from many different perspectives. Very, very cool stuff. And this kind of perspective can help you make more intelligent decisions because you're not looking at it from where you are and where you've been looking at it on repeat over and 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 over again. Okay, so this idea of mentorship sounds really good, right? You're a creature of growth. Mentors have access to this idea and network. They have experiences and insights to share. They can see your situation from a higher level or God's eye perspective, a different perspective. They can help you make more intelligent decisions. It's like, oh my gosh, if I just had a mentor, all the solutions to my problems would be gone, right? Well, super helpful. They can't do it for you. However, they can help you fuel yourself. Okay. What you need to know about mentorship is it's a two-way street. Okay. Mentors will give, you must receive. However, a mentor isn't just there to give to you. They must also get something back energetically. And I want you to think like, even if you do have a mentor, are you doing something to give back to them? It doesn't have to look exactly the same way. Right? It might be in a totally different form. And it doesn't have to be um, an eye for an eye. It doesn't have to be an exact equal match, right? That's called horse trading. However, there's a pitching and catching, there's an ebb and flow that happens. If you think they give, I receive. One of the greatest gifts to a mentor, okay, is just simply doing what they say. I can't tell you how many mentors and leaders I've worked with that say, I told you to do this. Why didn't you just do it? Like, why would I want to give you any other advice? So when you get feedback, implement it and do something about it and do it right away. Don't ask for advice if you're not planning to do something with it. Otherwise, why would they want to continue that relationship with you if they're giving, and you constantly ignore? It doesn't work that way. It's not reciprocal. So it's a two-way street. Expect to Give, expect to receive, and expect to take action on and do something about what you're given. Most people wouldn't waste their time giving you feedback if they didn't care about you and if they didn't see your potential. So sometimes when you may feel threatened or intimidated by some feedback or some suggestions, most people don't have time to just give you advice if they didn't actually love and care for you. So really think about it from that perspective. You may not like it, you may not be comfortable with it. However, people genuinely don't give you advice to hurt your feelings or to hurt you. Okay. They want to see you fly, they want to see you thrive. And if you're rejecting it, really start asking yourself why, because that's on you. So, know that another thing you need to know about mentorship, know that mentorship can be both paid and it can be free. Okay, so there's so many mentorship opportunities that cost a lot and give you access to a whole new pool of people and resources. Some are really organic and they don't cost anything, right? Both are good and both can and do have high value. And I would say you don't necessarily have to just stick in one sandbox or in one area. Mentorship relationships can look very different, right? For example, let's say maybe you are paying for a business mentor because you do want access to certain audiences and it's okay to pay for that. However, what if you also realize my relationships aren't so hot and I'd like to learn how to make my relationships better? And what if you have, this couple at school that you've been looking at and you're like, they just seem really happy. Maybe I'll go talk to them. And you go talk to them when you're picking your kid up from school and just ask them about, who they are and what they do. Start building a relationship with them. And if you really sense that, yeah, they do have a great relationship, it's holistic, why not ask for feedback and just say, I'd love to learn more about how to have a relationship like that. Are you open to giving me some tips or some guidance? Like, that's awesome. It doesn't have to be a formal or structured thing. Okay. So it can be formal, it can be paid for, it can be informal, it could be casual, it could be free. Okay. So the biggest thing is that you just know where you're at and don't worry so much about it. However, just be clear on where you're at. Now, mentorship, like I said, can happen in any area of life. And sometimes the mentorship you get in certain areas look different than others. The mentorship I received in dance was very different than the mentorship I received in business versus the mentorship I received to to renovate my first house. That they were all very different types of um, mentor mentee relationships, and they continue to be different. However, what's really, really key is that I invite them in and I recognize and acknowledge them for what they are. Now, you don't have to, another thing that's a little bit different is you don't have to like your mentor to learn from them. And this is what I experienced with the story I shared that about being frustrated is I didn't like the person himself. It's not someone I'd want to spend Friday nights with. It's not someone I'd wanna go out of my way to spend extra time with. However, I knew there was a time and place I needed to learn something from this person. And so I was willing to set that difference aside to be able to learn from him. Like I said, I chose not to make it a long-term thing. I chose to keep it short-term. However, once I really feel like I learned what I needed to learn from him in about 2 or 3 months, I was like, "Okay, I have completed what I've come here to do and what I've come here to learn from you. Thank you, thank you, thank you." So you don't have to like them to learn from them. However, they need to be offering you something that you want to sink your teeth into. Mentors are also willing to have difficult and real conversations with you. Okay? They care enough about you to actually be truthful even if it hurts in the moment. They don't want to just lie and go, "Oh yeah, everything's awesome. Oh yeah, this is so good. You keep going, girl." No. They will call it how they see it and they can do it with compassion. Some might do it with more elegance and grace than others. However, they're willing to have those difficult conversations and say, this is a wake up call. I don't know if you see this, but I see this. And I'm telling you because I care about you, you may want to consider changing it. And that's when you do. That's when you say thank you. You might have to swallow some pride. However, you move on and you take their suggestions because 9 out of 10 times they're right. One final thing that's really, really helpful when it comes to working with mentors is it's good to have questions prepared to ask them when opportunity strikes. So if there's a mentorship relationship, maybe you might meet with a mentor once a month, maybe you might meet with them every couple of days, maybe you might meet with them sporadically. As life goes on, things will come up. And you want to start collecting questions to ask them when opportunity strikes. The beautiful thing about these phones is you can have notepads and you can have specific notepads about, um, like you can just have a list of questions, have their name and have questions or things you'd like to ask them about pre-listed. So when opportunity does come up, you have something that you want to ask. And often, even just in you coming up with the question itself, you may find your own answer and what you're looking for. Okay. So asking questions is really powerful, really, really powerful. So, again, when it comes to mentorship, it's a two-way street. You want to expect to give and get feedback. Know that there can be different dynamics. It could be paid with contracts and really formal, it could be paid and informal, it could be free. And it could be really informal, or it could be free and have a little more structure to it. Whatever it is, it can be anything that you desire. Mentorship can be in any area of life. You don't have to like them to learn from them. However, when they are willing to have those difficult conversations with you, you let yourself listen, turn your listening ears on, and make sure to learn from those experiences. Allow yourself to listen. And when you have great questions prepared, that's when you can ask them. That's when you really allow yourself to start putting the pieces of your pie, of your puzzle together. Okay. Now, just before we wrap, I want to look at how you can find a mentor that's right for you. First and foremost, you need to decide that you actually want a mentor and be open to working with one. Okay. So often people just don't even think about it and they don't make a decision. It's like, hey, I'd love to have certain people mentor me and be in my life in different capacities. What's also important is that you know your life's vision and your current goals. Now, before you get hung up on this and, oh, can't have a mentor, don't know my goals. Stop, stop, stop. You know more than you think you do. Spend a few minutes and outline what you do know. Maybe it's not 100%. However, it's important that you acknowledge and you know the general direction and have some clarity so that you can decide if the people you come across are in alignment. Also, when it comes to mentors, they want to work with someone that has a certain level of clarity. They don't want to just be dragging someone along. They want someone that is willing to do and implement the things that they are sharing. So, know what areas of life or projects or things that you want help with specifically. Really define those in advance, and you can start looking at criteria. Maybe you're one of these people that wants certain things a certain way. Maybe you want a certain level of proximity. Maybe you want, to talk every couple weeks or do lunch once a month or have a certain level of access, maybe texting access. Maybe really look at the type of relationship you want. Do you want it to be more casual or do you want it to be more formal? Think about how you would like to give back to the mentor. Even if you don't know how, at least open the conversation up. How would you like to work with them? And if it's really important for you, go ahead and define these things. One of the things I've done is I've really preferred to leave a lot of these things open, and I'm aware of the possibilities. However, I've allowed myself to step into opportunities and in that moment decide if it's aligned for me and be pleasantly delighted. I have had certain opportunities where I have had text access. I have had opportunities where There is no text access. It's maybe very structured and very formal, and there's very limited access. However, I knew that was what I needed at the time. Okay. And so this is where you can decide if there are certain things that are critically important, identify them for yourself, and then decide, is this something I'm willing to bend on or not? So you can actually know what you're looking for. Your conscious mind is a goal setter, your unconscious mind is a goal getter. And so when you define what that is, your unconscious mind can actually go after it. For me, I love variety, and I love having a variety of ways I've worked with mentors. Okay. So you can make a list of potential members to reach out to and just find and connect with them. Or you can let it happen organically. You could say, hey, universe, I'm looking for something. I don't know where to find them. I look something like this. And when you're ready to bring it to me, just let me know. I'm gonna open my eyes, I'm gonna open my ears. I will start I will start my search. And maybe you'll find it in a week, maybe you'll find it in a month, maybe you'll find it in a few years. However, don't be so hung up on it and really start getting aligned with what you want. Okay? You want to make sure that you follow your intuition. You listen to those little whispers. This is the most important part. When you do listen to those little whispers, sometimes these whispers are saying for you to do things that are seemingly illogical and you don't know why you're doing them in the moment. You're like, everything on the surface is saying, this is a weird idea. I don't understand this. But everything in your heart, everything in your soul, everything in your spirit is saying, I have to do this. It's like, knock, knock, Larissa, let's go. Larissa, knock, knock. This is a great idea for you. This is your time. And so that has been my biggest secret weapon, is really following intuition and those little whispers when opportunity arises. Sometimes you don't know how to make it happen. Sometimes you don't know all the details. However, there's something that Bob Proctor and Mary Morrissey say. Prayer is when you talk to God, and intuition is when God speaks to you. This is why it's so critically important to listen to your intuition. Okay. So when it comes to finding a mentor, you've got to make a decision. Do you actually want one? Know your life's vision and life's goals. What are you actually asking for help with? Do you want to set out some strict criteria, or do you want to just go with the flow and follow your intuition and follow those little whispers along the way? The key is to actually make a decision and back it with inspired action. And if you're listening to this, chances are something in your world is calling you to work with a mentor. Could be me, could be someone else that you're currently not aware of, but use this as a wake-up call to do something about it. Okay, use this as a wake-up call. Now, I have a really special opportunity for you to step into a mentorship opportunity. It's free. It's a masterclass where you can learn how to stop procrastinating your life away, right? If there's some dreams that you've been avoiding, those beautiful goals that you've had that you've just set aside for, living life and doing things for everyone else. If you want to stop putting yourself on hold and live your life your best way in your way and be able to double, triple, or 10x your income, I'm going to show you the exact steps how to do that. I am going to share how you can work smarter, not harder, and an easy way to do that. I'm going to share 3 scarcity traps to avoid when you're doing this and what to do instead. And then I'm going to share an actual roadmap that you must take in order to achieve the income and the impact that you desire. So if this is speaking to you, I would love for you to get registered. I think registration might be open already. Let me just see. Is registration open? I think so. Okay, I'm going to pop the link. I hope I'm going to drop the link. I think registration's open. If not, it'll be open later today. So go ahead and get registered now. If the link is not in your social media screen, my team, I will make sure that they drop the link at some point this afternoon. And I would love for you, love for you to join me in this masterclass. It is called the Abundance Activation Masterclass, so that you can activate your abundance in all aspects of life. So, with that, I am going to sign off. I will be back again next week. Actually, not next week. I won't be here next week because we have the masterclass next week. It's happening next Wednesday at 12 p.m. But I'll be back here with you in 2 weeks with another beautiful, beautiful topic. So, you have a great day. I will see you very soon. Hope to see you in the masterclass. And let's go create more magic together. Bye bye.